Hello, my jelly fighters. My name is Jim, and this is your Daily Brogue for the 21st of July, 2025. So, like I was saying just a second ago in my time, yesterday to you, we want to look at some of the reasons why art might be valuable, right, to human beings like you and me. Um, why is it that we tend to think that some people, oh, why we think human-made art will continue to hold value, even though we have much better computer made art, right? Most of the computer made art is better than most of the digital art that people make. And it is mainly um, digital art. Is that telling me? I'm thinking this is a transference, a cursed transference. Let's see. Not what I'm seeing. So I need to get that key. I need to get rid of that banded mail. Um, okay, it's somewhere around here. It's a good spot, but we don't have anything to only 180 more turnstiles. I'll be able to know if I should play with this or get rid of it in a moment. One, two, three, four. It's plus zero. So we'll go back up and swap it out. Oops. Missed this. No data on that cursed string. East, no transference. Likely. It was a cursed string of transference. Okay. Let's see. So not step on the pressure plates. So what I wanted to talk about were some of the reasons people give for thinking that human-made art will always hold its value, always have some value. And these are fairly bad. So what I gave you before was an actual weirdly good reason that has a little bit more to it because I'm not going to talk about why people value art so highly and how that's changed over the years. Um, that's a big topic. Even with these little topics, you can see how long it takes me to talk about anything while I'm playing these games. Um, but it turns out that um, and very weirdly, that people who collect art have a problem with it. Now remember, um, what was the rationale for um, collecting or for purchasing it or for appreciating what some people call ugly art? Although I'll be honest, the people that call it ugly art are usually artists that make very nice drawings, right? They're very skilled representational artists. But the reason why people move to abstract art or to surrealist art or whatnot is because the um, photograph removed a way of doing business or a kind of art. Now, there's no reason for that. People, like I just said, representational art is still worth more to a collector than abstract art. Abstract art actually makes less. I mean, but my kid could have done that, which is true. Your kid could have done that. Um, that whole system comes from, right? That whole idea comes from seeing things like Piss Christ or a banana or whatever being put up on a wall and people making lots of money from it, right? So obviously, if people are making lots of money from these things, that's that people, the average person, does not feel is a meaningful, transaction. It's not something that people should be making money for. That's what gets the headlines, right? It's not somebody made a masterpiece, and because he made the masterpiece, he made millions of dollars. He made crap. He drew some lines on a board, probably using masking tape to keep them straight, maybe some spray paint. Who knows? I don't really know how Pete Madran, Madran, whatever, however you pronounce the name. I don't know how he did it. I have not studied his techniques, but masking tape and spray paint is how I do it. So you end up with these interesting color studies, but they're not really art, right? Um, nobody's People get upset if he makes a lot of money. They don't make they don't get upset if Michelangelo's make a lot of money, right? That's the way it is. And Michelangelo's of today make more money than the Pete Mondrians, right? Than the Kandinskys, all those famous people that you're told you're supposed to um, appreciate, even though you don't. It's just sort of the obtuseness. People appreciate skill, right? Um, so you can think about that when you think about baseball and art and who should get paid what. So I would have to do some checking soon. Yeah. See, I'm at the edifice. I'm at the point where I've got too many. Um, just too many scrolls, right? Okay, hopefully this is not. Oh, okay, so I identify something um Ooh, that is very nice. Okay. Should I identify something else? No, we will. Yeah, matter. Okay, that's not what I wanted. It's okay. No, charging. Correct. I guess I was hungry anyway. This is not a great place for jelly fighting. Life and brown. So let's see. These guys might or might not come this way. No, I don't remember if I searched it. Okay. Let's look at my food. Brown and crimson. So I've got, so you might guess, basically from what I just said, I'll get another chance with the crimson. O is levitation. Right. Do have that identify. That identify will go to the staff of lightning. So what we've just said is that, at least as far as top end art is concerned, representational art did not die. So the whole narrative that um, people had to move to non-representational art because of the loss of the reputational market is false. And then we'll ooh, very good obstruction. I don't like that. Very good firebolt. Okay. So, what are some other ideas? What are some other things that could um, lead us to people? Crap. Damn. So, what are some other things that could have happened? Well, obviously, I did not have to fall through that hole in the ground. Um, and maybe the firebolt. I don't think so. I did have the life. Maybe the firebolt and the life and the recharging would have been enough for those stars, but that was already close quarters. Those guys are bad. But there are other bad reasons that people give that AI art will take the value from human art, or will will require changes in human art, or um, will do something like that. Right? This was already a bad idea. This is not what happened. Right? In fact, human representational art rather than human modern art holds more value. It holds value for people who spend their own money. The people who spend money on modern art are people who have budgets that are given to them by other people. They don't make the money. The money just sort of comes to them. I mean, they could work for Ford and they have to decorate office buildings, and so they buy art for those office buildings, and it's not going to be portraits. It's not going to be landscapes. It's usually going to be modern art, something very um, tame, right? Modern art is very tame. It's ugly, but it doesn't say anything to anyone unless they know something about it coming in. And so that's probably where we're going to start to talk about things next time. Um, so why do people value the modern art? Why do people value the representational art? Two different things, right? And as we said, the reason why representational art still exists, most artists work in representational art, and it makes the most money, is because it is the most beautiful. Also, because it's easy to compare, it shows the most skill, right? So another thing we like is skill. When things take away from the ability to look at the skill of the sculptor, let's say, to look at the skill of the actor, let's say, then take a step back from it, right? 1980s, 1980s comedies we don't think are as funny as 1960s comedies. Why? Why? Well, because there are a couple of reasons, but the biggest reason is because they started putting in cuts. So rather than having funny people, good actors and funny people doing things, they have mediocre actors who are not funny, and the timing is replaced. The timing from the actual comedians is replaced by timing from, right, less skill. Michael J. Fox, not as funny as Dick Van Dyke. But this is the world we live in, right? Family Ties is boring. You don't even know that you don't even remember Family Ties existed, but you know about the Dick Van Dyke Show, and you know your father wasn't born when Dick Van Dyke was playing in that show. You know, same thing with I Dream of Jeannie. Dream of Jeannie went off the air before your father was born, right? But you still know about it. Okay, so um, that's where we are, but we still have to know. why do people think modern art is valuable, or what are the excuses that people have to say that modern art is valuable? And then we need to try to talk about what are the excuses that people use to say that human art is valuable. That is, we know human art is going to be valuable. It's going to be more valuable than AI art. AI art is going to do all the design work. It's going to do all the AI art is going to do all the design work. It's going to do all of the uh, character design and all that other stuff. Anything like that where non-creative people are doing art. But the high-end art, the art that people want to buy, they're not going to be buying AI art unless they're the sort of people who play Magic. Okay, bye now.